I'm Steve Wilkerson, and I'm with Jim Saunders, Executive Editor of the News Service of Florida. Jim, the governor finally made a decision about Lieutenant Governor, and he selected Dade County property appraiser Carlos Lopez Quintero as his running mate, former legislator. What's the inside scoop about that?
Well, it took the governor 10 months. The job was open for 10 months, and then I think it was kind of a surprise to a lot of people. Carlos Lopez Quintero was not as mentioned as often as some other people, and but I think a lot of the speculation is that the governor was looking to shore up himself with Hispanic voters, and Carlos Lopez Quintero was in the state house for 8 years. He's a majority leader, which indicates that he had some ability to progress through the system. He knows the system, and also the governor could use some help with the legislature too. So Lopez Quintero may be able to help him get some of his agenda through in the next session.
And he was close with now U.S. Senator Marco Rubio when Mr. Rubio was House Speaker. So
right,
that might have had an impact on the decision.
Yeah, I don't know if it had an impact, but he certainly kind of came up through the House with, as he came up through the House, he was with Rubio. Rubio's a popular figure in the party. And, the governor needs to do well with the Cuban American population in Dade County. It's always an important part of the Republican base. And, but also one of the big questions I have, and I'm just not sure how this is going to play out, but, the Hispanic population is becoming increasingly important in elections in Central Florida. It's a different population, though. A lot of it is people of Puerto Rican heritage, and a lot of them are Democrats. So I'll be interested to see how this translates. Having Mr. Lopez Quintero on the ticket in November really helps the governor in those areas as well.
Another issue, kind of under the radar screen, but very important, is there's a proposed constitutional amendment which would set aside a portion of documentary stamp revenue to fund parcels of land being purchased under the Florida Forever program. There's not been much purchased recently, in recent years, under that program, but this would identify a funding source, and this proposed constitutional amendment has picked up steam. It's gotten a lot of signatures and looks ready to go on the ballot. Talk about that.
To get a proposed constitutional amendment on the ballot, it's a difficult thing to do. You got to get 683,000 petition signatures. You got to get approval from the Supreme Court. And the supporters of this amendment have done that. It's all been sort of somewhat beneath the radar because there's been so much attention focused on another proposal to legalize medical marijuana. But as of last week, they met the conservation land buying amendment, met all the requirements. There's still a formal certification process to get on the ballot, but it looks like they're in line to be before voters in November. Over the last, Preservation 2000 is a program that goes way back, to the Bob Martinez days in the governor's office. And it was succeeded later by Florida Forever, but essentially the goal of those programs was for the state to set aside money to buy land, environmentally important land, to conserve it. And in recent years, as the budget has been struggling with the economic downturn and so on, the legislature just didn't fund it much. And I think some of these environmental groups and their supporters decided we're going to take this into our own hands. The documentary stamp tax revenue is it's on real estate transactions, so there's sort of a nexus between that and conserving land. But I don't think I think the legislature is not going to be happy if this passes because it's going to tie their hands. This is a funding source they have now, and it would require part of that money to be spent on buying land instead of other things they might want to spend it on. So it'll be interesting to watch in the coming months.
Thank you, Jim. For more news about Florida politics and government, visit the Advances section of our website.